Hi, I'm certainly glad you could join me today. You ready to do a fantastic little painting? I tell you what, let's start out today. Have them run all the colors across the screen that you need to paint along with me. And while they're doing that, let me show you what I've done up here. I have my standard old canvas up here, but today I've taken black gesso, and I've just sort of sketched in with the black gesso a rough idea here, just some tree indications, and just this whole bottom area here is covered completely with black gesso. I've allowed that to dry totally, and then I've covered it with a transparent color, which today I'm using a mixture of alizarin crimson and a little bit of phthalo blue. Another thing that you'll find that'll help when you're doing this, sometimes it's very difficult to scrub that old stiff paint over the black gesso. If you will take a little bit of liquid clear and put on here, but a little tiny bit, then when you start putting this transparent color on, it'll go on just as smooth as glass. And it makes it a little easier for you. So I tell you what, let's start out today with the old 2-inch brush. We'll go right into a small amount of the phthalo blue, just a little bit. Just tap the bristles into a little bit of it. Don't need much. Now then, up here, I've just applied liquid white, as usual, so that our color will blend with it and we can create all kinds of effects. There. And we'll just drop in quick little, just a happy little sky. There we are. Now this blue is very transparent, so see, these things still show through. And that creates some beautiful effects. I'll show you as we go along here. Now then, I have a little bit of that lavender color left that I used to cover the black gesso, and it's just, as I say, alizarin crimson and phthalo blue. Maybe I'll put a little touch of that lavender color right along in here. And I'm still using just little crisscross strokes, little X's. Something like so. Okay, now let me wash my brush. That's the fun part of all this. And as you know, we wash our brushes with odorless thinner. We'll shake off the excess and, and just beat the devil out of it. Okay, now then. That brush washing makes all this worthwhile. I'm going to take some titanium white. I'll be right back. I'm going to get a least little touch of yellow ochre. Yellow ochre and titanium white. And just mix those on the brush. You don't worry about it. And maybe in here, we'll put a little bit of that. We want to make a bright, happy little sky today. So we'll just drop that right in there. Now that lavender color that we put in here, that'll act as a barrier so the yellow does not touch the blue and turn bright green. There we go. Now then, wash the brush one more time. One more time. There's a screen down here in the bottom of this can, and that allows you to scrub the brush against it. That works great. But the screen allows the solid material to settle to the bottom, and it keeps your paint thinner relatively clean. And paint thinner never wears out. All you have to do is let it settle for a while, pour the paint thinner off, then throw away the sludge that accumulates in the bottom. And you can use it over and over again. There we go. But doesn't that make a very effective little sky? And you can just tap in all kinds of little things. If you want to mist this right together, just tap it and very lightly go over it. Okay. I think we have a nice little sky. Today, I'll tell you what, we haven't done many mountains in this series, so let's build us a little mountain. We'll take some black, alizarin crimson, mix that together. That'll make a nice lavender color, sort of a reddish lavender color. It's very pretty. You can take a little Prussian blue and add in there also a little bit of Prussian blue. Now then, pull it out very flat as usual, cut across, and there's our small roll of paint right out on the edge of the knife. Most important. Now then, you have to make your first major decision. Let's come right up in here. Where does your mountain live? In our world, our mountain lives right here. And just begin working on some basic shapes. Just let this wander right on back here, wherever you want it. Maybe it comes out here, there may be a bump there, another one. Maybe it goes off. Just however you want it. It's really an individual thing. There, scrape off all the excess paint. It's most important you get all this excess paint off. And you're not going to hurt the canvas. Canvas is tough. Shoot, they make tents out of it. It's very tough. Now with a large brush, we'll pull that out. That does two things. It removes the excess paint even more, and it blends us down so it gets lighter and lighter in value as it works down the mountain. And you can use the brush to create the sort of like the illusion of highlights and shadows just by using brush strokes. And it may not show too much on television, but when you do your own painting, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. Okay, let's have some fun. Let's take a little white, a little bit of alizarin crimson, a little phthalo blue, making a dark lavender color here, maybe a little more of the crimson. There we go. We're going to make a shadow color. That's what I'm looking for. There, something about like so. Okay, once again, we cut off our little roll of paint. Now then, today, I'm going to apply the shadows first. Zoom. No pressure. Absolutely no pressure. Just barely, barely touching the canvas. The lighter, the better. No pressure whatsoever. Okay. Just put in a few of those little shadow areas. Maybe there's one going to be right in here. Wherever you think there'd be one. Now then. I'll just take a little dark sienna, a little bright red, a little touch of the yellow ochre into it. And we'll just make a beautiful little brown color here. But leave it marbled like this so all kinds of things are happening. Don't overwork it. Our little roll of paint again. Now we can go up in here and begin picking out all these little individual things. Once again, though, absolutely no pressure. No pressure. Just let the knife barely, barely touch. And follow these basic angles that you have in your mountain. There. Just all kinds of little things happening. Just let your imagination wander here. Do whatever makes you happy. There we are. I'm going to highlight even this. So all we're doing here is just applying a little bit of color. We're not really too concerned at this point. And I don't want to lose all this light area down here. That'll be very pretty. I'm going back to some of the shadow colors. Shoot, maybe there's a bump right in there. Watch here. If we want to have a little indentation or something different, just drop it in. On this canvas, you can do anything that you want to do. You have absolute and total power. There. I think that's one of the things that attracted me to painting so much. Because here I could create any kind of world that I wanted. Any kind of world. And there's no violence here. Everything's happy. And that's what I wanted. Shoot, if you want violence, turn the news on. Okay, now then. I'm going to take white, just titanium white. Pull it out as flat as I can get it. And once again, we're going to cut off that little roll of paint. Now then, I want to put the indication like as a little highlight. Just zinging through here. Very, very delicate touch. Let that paint break.